I've talked about this a couple of different times over the course of a few podcasts that late last year, Robert and I had to do like 10 movies on a show, catching up on all the different streaming movies. In years past, um, I would try to pile as many of these into triple features as I could, and then I stopped for a while, and then then late last year I realized I missed a whole bunch that were contenders for my worst list. So I said, all right, this year with more time on my hands, I wanted to get back into watching some more streaming movies, seeing what they had to offer. Also, and I would enjoy your guys' comment on this in your own way, in your own thoughts. I am bored with what we do here. Just bored. I'm so bored with like the big action adventure science fiction fantasy genre at this point. And I'm definitely bored with the online commentary have said. So I was like, all right, I started doing the movie podcast because I really wanted to go after, I grew up in that genre. I grew up with with all the stuff we've talked about before, all the science fiction and fantasy and superhero stuff. Um, so I started commenting on it, lo these many 10 years ago. And here we are. I'm bored by this stuff now. A lot of these IPs have completely fallen apart for one reason or another, as we've documented. And I started to think, what else is out there for me to talk about? What else is out there for me to comment on? And I said, I have completely ignored both comedy and romance and romantic comedies. And I thought, well, that makes up like at least 50% of the online streaming movies that are out there. And it's it's something else to talk about. Now Mac, I tell you, I have not talked about comedies because I generally hate them.
Wow.
American, American comedies are just terrible. They're written for the lowest of the brow. And so I stayed away, and I said, all right, if I'm going to make a claim like that, I have to back it up by actually watching these and seeing how they compare. So that leads us to tonight, my friend. That leads us to tonight.
Yeah, but this is a terrible example.
we're coming out with a bang. What'd you say, Mick?
You got to have the evidence to back yourself up.
That's right. Yeah. I say that to Robert all the time. Have you seen the movie that you're screaming about? No? Well, then shut up. So let me let's tackle it this way, Mac. Do you watch a lot of the streaming comedies or romantic comedies or romances?
I don't make a point of it. No, if something catches my eye and I want to see it, it doesn't matter to me whether it's at the theater or it's streaming. I'll find a way to see it. But I agree with you that the larger percentage of comedy in streaming has gotten to the lowest common denominator, and it's not impressive. And frankly, which was it? You're cordially invited is kind of a poster child for that problem. I hate to diss on people because I've been in movie and television production, and I know how hard it is to get something right. But Will Ferrell has never lit me up right, and I think that speaks more about me. Will Ferrell is very successful. Lots of people like his stuff, but like you just mentioned, that's a big audience of people that we probably can't relate to very much.
Yeah, my ex-wife was a big Step Brothers fan, which is why we didn't watch a lot of movies together. And then, my current girlfriend telling me she was a big Will Ferrell fan, and I had to stop myself from making all kinds of stupid remarks and jokes about that.
Boyfriend.
I fucking try, man. But I've also, I remember there was one incident where the ex, she was like, I'm picking the movie tonight. And she picked two different romantic comedies. And I'm still here. I didn't get myself Baker acted that night, but boy, it was an interesting thing because I was trying to be a good partner, and I was like, I'm gonna allow myself to enjoy this if there's something to enjoy about it. And God help me, I could find the positive in it, but it took some work, and I was like, okay, I can. I think if you open yourself up to something, to a new experience, there's something good to be had. What about you, Mick? I know that when I've learned to not do this, but I used to propose these sort of things to Alexis because she's the resident girl, and then she's done everything to convince me she's not a girl, so I stopped doing it. So she's done an excellent job of that. So where do you stand on comedies, romantic comedies, and romance movies?
I think I'm in the same boat as Mac, at least for the newer ones. I don't really seek out like anything that's coming out. Really, the only newer movies I usually seek out nowadays are like the horror movies that are coming out.
Mm-hmm.
But I do enjoy a comedy here and there and a romantic comedy too. Like I didn't realize how many people hated Will Ferrell until like recently. Because
Yeah.
I know I grew up watching him as Elf, and I had no problem with him. And like growing up and watching Step Brothers and like stuff like that, like he's funny to me, just like Adam Sandler. I find him funny too.
We were talking about Adam. A friend of mine and I were talking about Adam Sandler earlier today, and I said I hated. I actively avoided Happy Gilmore and Billy Madison to start with. I was like, this is too stupid for me, and I grew up in the '80s. I grew up with like Animal House and Caddyshack and shit like that, and Fletch, and like I can't with the Adam Sandler movies. It wasn't until like The Waterboy, and I think The Waterboy is exceptionally funny, that I started giving Adam Sandler movies a chance. And I would say I'm like 50-50 with Adam Sandler because I enjoy The Wedding Singer. I think The Wedding Singer is hilarious. Love The Waterboy. His remake of The Longest Yard is fantastic. But then there's, again, Happy Gilmore, Billy Madison, Little Nicky. I fucking can't stand Little Nicky.
You can't?
I think it's terrible.
I love that one.
See, there you go. Comedy strikes us all differently. Mr. Deeds, I'm kind of 50-50 on. And I actually enjoy some of Adam Sandler's more dramatic stuff. I like Spanglish, but that's mostly because I like Selma Hayek. So
Everyone likes Selma.
I mean, who doesn't? All right, so let's get into, now that we've rambled for 10 minutes, let's get